Welcome, attendees, to the Creative Arts Conference 2024 Breakaway Session, room number 7. Just want to welcome you to the platform today, Dr. Sello Galane. What an absolute privilege to have him here with us today, just to share his wealth of knowledge in music education. Dr. Sello, who is our Chief Arts Education Specialist at the Department of Basic Education, an extraordinary lecturer in music education in the Department of Humanities Education. His research focuses on decolonial arts education, transformative constitutionalism in education policy framework. He has pioneered an illustrious body of work in the free Kiba music genre released worldwide. Dr. Galane is a public intellectual that appears regularly in debates on radio and television and has in 2022 been nominated as the Pan-Salb Multilingualism in Music Award, which is awarded on the 25th of May 2022, and that was Africa Day. So we'd like to welcome to our stage today Dr. Sello Galane. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I hope I am audible on that side. Are we good?
We are good, Dr. Sello. We are ready to hear.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start today. Let me also just welcome the participants and thank them for having a session of knowledge sharing and practice amongst us as both educationists, as teachers, curriculum implementers on the ground in the classroom, and as well as curriculum managers as we do curriculum maintenance in education. I would like to indicate right from the outset that the work that I'm going to share really flows from my experience, both as a musicologist, as a composer, educationist, and music performer. So it's an integration of all the elements that are required, as well as that of teaching and education planning. Now, I'm going to be talking to you today about free Kiba, and to say, is free Kiba music? Because that's exactly where we need to start. Now, if you read the work of Kofi Agau, who is a professor, who is was one of my external examiners when I did my PhD, who's at Princeton University, says that the concept of song is inseparable from dance and drama, and it's very important to look at the is not using the concept of music, and it deals with the concept of song. And because the work of Kiba comes from the Sotho-Tswana Pedi, languages, then the music concept there is called Mino. Mino, loosely translated, is a form of dance, it's a way of music making, and it is not exclusively a sonic element of performance. Now, what is Kiba? Kiba is a multidisciplinary genre and a communicative event. It's very important for us to look at this because this concept of communicative event really flows from the domain of, cultural studies, African studies, musicology. It does not come from a pure music science. It is a blend that really acknowledges the song, dance, drama, design in a communal system of communication. It's very important for us to underscore communal system of communication, because often in a system of communication by a people, then we'll only single out what we hear and exclude the song, dance, drama, integral nature of the communicative event. Now, Pan-African Communal Public Communication Ensemble, this is what Kiba is. It is a movement, it is a very potent example of freedom of expressivity. There's a difference between freedom of expression as a right and freedom of expressivity as a manner of being. Now, linguistic community. Kiba is a linguistic community. Delheims defines community as those who use the same rules of interaction and interpretation of a communicative event, and that is a community. Now, a linguistic community is like a community of practice amongst mathematicians, amongst scientists, amongst designers, and so on and so forth. So now, as a linguistic community, Kiba relies on freedom of expression, poetic license to comment without fear, favor, or prejudice on every element of social, stratum of people, the values, communicates political, social, economic, philosophical, spiritual life of a community, among others. Now, it is not an idiosyncratic science of an individual who wants to express his personal, individual, to the exclusion of what the community is about. It is more of a poetic license within a linguistic community. It's very important, the issue of linguistic community. It does not deal with the issue of dialect. It does not deal with the issue of tradition. It does not deal with the issue of a tribe, but it deals with a linguistic community that uses beyond just linguistic tools, which we'll see, because once we say music, dance, drama, visual arts, it's all of those that form part of a communicative event. Now, it has entertainment value, and the key role is to shape values, morality, and polity of society for posterity. Because for any society to really have a semblance of posterity associated with it, or emanating from it, or moving towards, then that society has got to take care of its values, its morality, its polity, among others. So it's a very interesting thing when we talk about the issue of values, because I remember when I started in the writing process of the curriculum, when we did the RNCS, the Revised National Curriculum Statement, and I was appointed by Minister Professor Kader Rasmal to come in. The first question I asked, coming from the cultural perspective, and I said to the team, whose values, which values, what values? And the answer that I got from Professor Volmink at the time was that, no, we're talking about constitutional values. What are these values? Human dignity, human rights, equality, and freedom. So those are the constitutional values. But society deals with these within the immediate context. So simply put, Kiba, this is a verb, Kiba, is to accentuate its the strongest bit, in the musical expression, or communicative event expression, to mark the main pulse in a song, in relation to music. It defines the rhythm and time signature of a movement in a Kiba public sonic communicative event. So that is Kiba. But it's a verb that links directly with Kiba as a noun. Now, Kiba definition continued here. Now, the integration, intergenerational, and yet age cohort inclined. It's a bit of a dialectic there. Why am I bringing this element? In different generations, and as it pans out in school, we have got foundation phase, intermediate phase, senior phase. The question is Kiba a communicative event of adults? Is it of youth? Is it of children? It is all of that. This point answers the intergenerational and yet age cohort inclined. Why do we say that? Because it's a model of teaching and learning which is holistic in mentoring of society around a system of communication in a spiral repetition method. In creative arts, we normally say when we write curriculum in terms of its design, we say we repeat concepts, we repeat elements of skill so that the learning is spiral. Each repetition hones in a skill at a different level, at a much more deeper level, at a much more, comprehensible and comprehensive level. So the spiral approach that is used in Kiba is that when children start, they start with the adults at the same time. Basically, it's adults would have had years of experience doing it. And you find that the children join in and they sing and dance and play drums along the adults. And that's why I say intergenerational. And it's holistic mentoring. That is why I say that because of they learn from mentorship. Nobody sits down and say, this is a drum, this is Kiba, this is Matikwane, the two small drums, and this is Kedisho, the one that we play with hands whilst others are played with sticks and hosepipe. Now, it's mentoring approach, and it is holistic and then it is intergenerational. So the highest level of poetic, dramatic, drumming, singing, dance, and praise dance, which in Sepedi is called Hopepela. It's a very interesting and the most, complex, not really complex, but requires the highest level of understanding of not just having done a lot of spiral repetition methods of learning, but as well growth and knowledge about your own community, so that when you do praise dance, it's a very important concept there. It's that it's not the core dance of those who dance in the middle, it's those who dance in the fringes, making commentary of the discourse that the core dance is, the core ensemble is doing. So the Dinaka and vocal tutti call and response mastery, it's something that you hone in through spiral repetition, as well as the dance thematic expression, because it's not just dance, it's a dance that's structured. That is got the introduction as they come in to form the circle, and once they start to dance, each song is different when it comes to the thematic expression, the dance thematic expression, because not every song uses the same dance. Now, you need to take time to learn and master through the spiral repetition, hence that methodology. So dynamic iteration, that is the Kiba definition. It has the level of a dynamic iteration of contextual reality using creativity to cumulative, to communicate highly contentious human conditions, as well as providing solution to societal challenges. This defines the essence of Kiba. Now, it is through Kiba that a community is able to challenge the most powerful in society. It makes direct, through metaphor, through symbolism, a reference to either abuse of power or any form of injustice, as well as celebrate justice and celebrate life. So, look at the free and expertise. This picture I took just now in January. We're doing research in Mojaji. And if you look at the small drum, they're made of a three-legged pot. And this shows the high knowledge of sonic elements, of tuning, and the cast iron that is used. In fact, this pot is not a cast iron one, it's the old one that has got a very strong, iron as a makeup of it. So it then represents Matikwani because it gives you the highest, tone and pitch, rather, highest pitch. And the other one, which is on your down right, it's a very interesting drum. It is the one that is to be used as Kiba. And it's interesting that I've never seen a drum with a hole on it. If you look at it there, right there, there's a hole there. And I wondered whether it was because the leather was old or because it is part of the understanding of how sound is generated, sound engineering there. And then this one, it's made of a log of wood like this one. But that one is very interesting, how a body of a drum that does not rattle, but gives you the sharpest, high pitch there of the drum called Matikwani. Usually there are two of them, but this because of its of the material that's made of, it's able to give you the two tones. And this one is the Kiba itself, and then this is Matikwani. Right. So here is an example of a male-dominated ensemble. Please understand when I say male-dominated. It is stereotypically assumed without research and science that Kiba is dinaka, that is synonymous to the flutes that these men here play. And all of the other important elements there are ignored, often in definitions. These people here who are playing drums are actually women. So it would be wrong to say Kiba is a male genre. It is male dominated and an ensemble, but not a male genre. It is male dominated because women are the most experienced drummers you can ever have in these communities, and they play drums for a male dominated ensemble, not a male ensemble. Now, there you see how free, the use of attire can be. The more in Sikukuni, where the British really moved in and fought and even chopped Koshisi Kukuni's head off, and this is still in courts now. They used the Scottish skirts, and after this community fought back and won the battle, finally they took the Scottish skirts and they used them. But it's very interesting when you contrast them with these. They use wool as long as the elements could give us the following. One, free-flowing loin costume to accentuate the aesthetic effects of dance. And then women drumming in the circle. We see cyclical movement around the drums. It's very important, colleagues, to see that cycle, it's very important because it relates to the importance of the cyclical movement. Is the African heart, which is round, and the African grave, which is round, and the khoro, which is the sitting arrangements in an African court. It's you sit in a circle, and one person speaks, relates to the next one next to him, and then the other one next to him, like that, until it comes full circle to next to the one who started. And then that's how communication is done. Interesting enough, when you blow dinaka in this ensemble of Kiba, that's exactly how it goes. It goes in that particular order, and then everybody is a participant. Now, in Mujaji, very interesting, women were seen blowing dinaka as well now in January 2024. So to define these things in binary oppositions is erroneous, in a sense that we have now found this year women who have been playing dinaka for years. Dinaka are the panpipes, not really panpipes, but the one the generally known as the flutes, a flute without holes on the sides, but just on top. So that is what it is. Now, Mapadi Kekaba in Kilobedu. Mapadi is Sepedi, which is basically standard Sepedi. Kekaba, it's Sekapa or Inbolobedu in the language of Kilobedu. Now, you see the women here also sustained, and this was done on the 16th of December when we did field work there. So if you look at what the free Kiba, now we move from Kiba, now we're going to free Kiba. Now free Kiba, it's according to, if you look at what Professor Agau said in 2003, he said we need to, he was not defining free Kiba, he gave us the theoretical framing. He says the emancipation of African music begins precisely at the point where our priorities shift from valuing present realities to constructing future possibilities. Now, if you move from this to free Kiba, which is what I practice, because I need to respect the indigenous Kiba music and ensemble as it is, and then be able to do the one that more young people can do in modern society. So a part of indigenous knowledge system in our national curriculum statement, this is a principle in the national curriculum statement and the creative arts subject. Now, Nketia says he views as ethnomusicological practice that he puts it succinctly that I viewed ethnomusical research as a discipline whose methods and techniques can promote the collection, documentation, preservation, promotion, and dissemination of music as a cultural heritage. So what is free Kiba? Free Kiba is a genre of music that derives from the Kiba indigenous music of Africa. Is a process of creative contributions of developing a derivative discourse from the family of the Kiba discourse. An attempt to create a universal intellectual discourse found amongst the people and communities of both Bapedi, as you can see there, both in Chivenda, you've got a Kiba, and then if you look at Siswati, Kukeza is part of that, and if you look at Sesotho, Hokiba. Now, what I have done is that these are the meta language and critical tools of Kiba. So if then people say, no, but if we follow indigenous music, what are going to be the critical canons that we're going to use to analyze the music? There they are. You've got them there. I will not go through each one of them, but amongst others, you see that Rotupela is to achieve a desired sense of communal solidarity, sweetness, the beauty. Is it appealing? Fringe dance, praise dance, is it part of it? Beauty, creativity, is it admirable? Is it excellent? Gloating with one's feet done by women, graceful, measured, contact of the feet with the ground. The opposite of Hoshidilela, which is Hokata. Then agile dance characteristics, characteristics of men's robust dance movement. So these often I find that when schools assess and evaluate indigenous music, they do not have the critical tools to use. There they are now. So we can use them as we go along. Now, this is defining features of Free Kiba. This is me in the center on the drums. We've created a circle. We've sustained the circle on stage, and the audience complete the other half of the circle, and the drums are always in the center. So these are the defining features of Kiba, Free Kiba as well. Communicative, like the original Kiba, social commentary, vocal call and response, Malokwani call, chorus response. Malokwani call is the leader's call. Core drum locutors is a drum family of Matikwani, Kiba, Kalapedi. I've defined these things and I do these at the top. You've got dance, you've got praise singing. These are the defining elements, even in Free Kiba, like in original Kiba. Now, call and response happens similar to drums. Drums do their call and response. That's why we call them drum locution. And then Malokwani call starts a song, then the chorus response follows, and the voice are often in use, and the split octaves often happen there in some songs at particular moments. And the praise is used to heighten the mood of the discourse. The rhythm, it's 6/8, 4/4, 3, 4, all of them put together. That's why we call them polyrhythmic characteristics of Kiba. Now, like any other standard song, Kiba has got a cadence. But a cadence of Kiba happens, among other things. A song could end differently at different moments, differently at different moments, differently at different moments. I'm just, stressing that, due to different reasons. Now, these include an exit moment, that is when they exit, through the exit song, it fades away, or an elaborate humor of Malokwane, who is the leader, through metaphor. A metaphor could be so graphically beautiful that people could just burst out into laughter and really stop the performance. And you could have a biting use of onomatopoeia, which is something that would really impress everybody, the drummers, the dancers, singers, everybody, that everybody just kind of fizzle out into enjoyment there. And that's how the song ends. And then the rain does not always stop the communicative event, except when it is a storm. I've just realized, recorded in Molechi, in Polokwane, just in December the 16th, where as the performance started, the rain started. They played the entire set in the rain, with the drums wet, until water was flowing on the ground. Performance never stopped. Highly humorous dance antics can end a song, and then dramatic gesture that causes everyone to burst into laughter also can be the cadence of a song. So when we teach these things, we must not say, no, but this African music does not have a cadence. This could be any of the elements that would end a song. Here is a very interesting example of the work that we do. This was at the State Theatre during the 20th celebration, 20th anniversary of the Free Kiba of South Africa. So, and that's the work that we do. So what I have tried to do here is to look at the mainstreaming of indigenous music and set out the principles that one should immerse oneself in the community of music, and then to understand the nuances. You isolate the new subgenres from the general music tradition. You identify the key concepts that are used in the culture of the music. You identify elements of each concept. You identify the styles available. You learn the meta language. You know the different protocols. You extrapolate on the purpose of on the purpose and function of certain titles, of the music that they do. You do, a systemic scientific study of the text, and then you compile a repertoire. You study the structures. You determine what constitutes melody and harmony, what type of orchestration is used, is available, what constitutes a full composition, what the minimum representation of elaborate orchestration could be, and know what is fundamental. Because if you go to Venda, for example, and you find Chikona, which is a version of Kiba, you'll find 110 men blowing dinaka or Chikona. And then the last but one question I'm asking you is that you need to make a determination what is the most minimal number that you can use that represents the 110 in some symbolic way. So you've got to also know, what universal traits of elements of the indigenous genres are discernible from all the work. You need to know what are the adaptations and fundamentals in a genre. You need to understand also the etymology, study of to gain in-depth understanding. You've got to do this kind of field work more and more. Like I'm more than 35 years in this field doing this work, still researching up to today. That's why I was able to find women for the first time in my life this year, January, who blow dinaka, which is generally known as a men's practice. Do own representations of the genre, like I've done with the Pula one, and appropriate name, one style. Like I have called my style Free Kiba because I did not want to call it Kiba, because Kiba, it's done by these women you've just seen. and the men, and then mine, I called it free because it had to extend the freedom of usage, as you can see. So we have brought in right into festivals, main festivals of the land. We've brought in elements there, as you can see. And then the mainstreaming continues. You compose a larger body of work. Colleagues, you do not adapt a work by composing 2-3 songs and think you have mainstreamed work. I have 350 compositions in the free Kiba format. Then that's a body of work. Then it is replicable in that sense. You document the process that one would have followed. And each time you go through these things, document. And as you can see here, what we have done. Fine. As you can see there, we have used all, Western musical art instrument, indigenous instruments, pull them together, create an integration, bring in social cohesion through music, and so on. So that is how far one goes. What I've just added here, all of the work that I was showing, it's what is expressed in the CAPS, the Curriculum and Assessment Statement. That is what we schools actually need to be doing, moving from an indigenous art form, grow it in ways that Agao says future possibilities. And Xitsonga also in the CAPS of grade 10, music. If you look at it, all these in Xitsonga, Setswana, both the art forms as well as the analytical features, which go for assessment. IsiXhosa, you've got both the genres, subgenres, and analytical statements. In isiZulu, and then isiNdebele, you've got them there in the CAPS of grade 10, and you would then see isiNdebele as well. And then, like Free Kiba says, as I conclude, that the emancipation of African music begins precisely at the point where our priorities shift from valuing present realities to constructing future possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. We just appreciate your time and that you have spent with us today. I just have a few questions for you. You can stop sharing your screen if I'm able to communicate you and just see your face again. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Your live shows. Where can we see you perform live? When is your next concert?
My next concert is for example, at the State Theatre, this year's biggest one, because we do many festivals in between, but the big one that we do, we normally call it Pula Festival, because Pula is rain, and rain represents the literal rain as we know it, but it also represents posterity, rejuvenation, rebirth, prosperity of a people, of a nation, of humanity. So the 23rd of November this year is the culminating one, where we normally do both the launch of last year's recording, and we record new material at the State Theatre in the drama theatre. That's where we will be at the culminating show of this year.
Thank you so much. And where can we purchase your CD, Doctor?
The CDs could be purchased if you yes, there we go. Our CDs could be purchased from our warehouse. We've got the Chem Records 3@gmail.com, Chem Records 3@gmail.com. That's where you will be able to place orders, and then we can ship them to anywhere else in the world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And then last question for today. Will free Kiba be available in textbook format for easy access to replicate in classrooms?
That's right. What we have now is that in the curriculum, it is one of the indigenous genres that are listed there. And what I've tried to do today is to try and give more like a textbook, audio textbook kind of a lesson on how the elements of free Kiba, the free Kiba theory, the practice, and so this is part of this video that could be used as part of the teaching aid. But over and above that, it is important that we follow all the social media platforms where I get, as you said at the beginning, interviewed quite illustriously, and I do continue to give lessons on radio and so on. But we also run through subject committees, workshops on different areas that require attention, and this could be one of those that we really do for teachers.
Yes. Thank you so much. I have a last question here. Where can we find some of the Kiba resources?
The Kiba resources would be, at the moment, as you can see on my extreme, is it left or right? If you yeah,
your right.
On the screen, it's my right. Yeah,
yes.
It's my right. As you see there, I've got. We collect them, everywhere else. Those I collected, those 6. They're normally Sabas from Senegal. Those are from Senegal. They act as the big drum in, this is the biggest drum that the Senegalese have contributed. So it is free in a sense that you are free to use any instrument that serves the purpose of the sound you're trying to make. But these are simple drums and the one-note flutes. You find them in the deep rural areas in most cases. They are not certainly available commercially, but this question really says we really need to do some work to make them readily available in stores, not just the recordings.
Thank you so much. The questions are coming in thick and fast. So do you have some time just for one more question here? Yes, says there's a comment here that says, wow, I think this is amazing. And we can add some exemplar lesson plans to enable multicultural access to something like this. Yes, did you want to just comment on that, Doctor?
Yes, you see, the reason why I started the Free Kiba discourse as well as the Free Kiba movement is because generally people would want to kind of freeze culture and freeze, communicative methods. Because like I said, if you look at it as just music, it's going to limit you. If you look at it as a form of expression, and in all those, criteria that I've put there on how to then get to mainstreaming an art form, you then realize that I have put in saxophones there, I've put in piano, I've put in guitars, I've put in marimba, I've put in kalimbas, I've put in the drums. I've expanded the horizons of the definition as long as the music still sounds idiomatically what original is idiomatically, but in terms of color, of the music, you can expand it to the best way you can.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor, for just taking this time once again just to be with us. I just want to let our attendees know that you are more than welcome to message Doctor at any time. All his resources and today's presentation will be on the Wover app for the next 3 months. So even using the video from today it's a wonderful classroom resource for you to take in and to experience and to show them the videos and to show the pictures to your kids in class and explain. I mean, it was fascinating for me to see that hole in the drum and what that kind of, that sound source, what does it create? So that was absolutely fascinating for me. So thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So attendees, we are going to go back into our main stage now, and we will see you shortly. Thank you so much.